Ah, you know that sound, don't you? The sound of potholes. If you're driving right now, you're likely swerving to avoid them and perhaps complaining about them. The city of Winnipeg blames the large spike we've seen in potholes on the unusual winter weather we've had. It was really quite mild. Nominations for 2024's Worst Roads in Manitoba list that CAA compiles every year. Well, the list for this year ends tonight at midnight, so you've got to get your vote in if you want it to count. Teresa DeFelice knows that list of worst roads very well. She is Assistant Vice President, Government and Community Relations for CAA Manitoba. Hello, Teresa.
Hi, Janet. How are you?
I'm great. And this is such a talker. We all wish our roads were in better shape. What kind of responses have you received to this year's survey?
Well, we've had quite a few roads nominated. For over 475 roads have been nominated across 64 municipalities in Manitoba. And we expect that list to grow up until midnight tonight when the voting and nominations ends. And we'll have to see what the roads look like when we reveal the top 10 list in a few weeks.
Why do you think this survey is something that so many people respond to?
Well, we do surveys of our members in Manitoba, and, you know, over 80% of members are venting about poor roads, but they're venting to their family and friends or colleagues. Very rarely are they talking about it where the decision makers are with government. And so this really actually gives people a voice and an opportunity to let government know what pain points they're experiencing, which roads are the pain points they're experiencing in their daily lives.
How does the survey work?
Well, you go on to caaworstroads.com and you'll be able to go to a Manitoba page, and then you nominate a road that you would like to see on the list. And, I can tell you, even though it's all individual nominations, it's crowdsourced. And so the top 10 that gets revealed, we vet it, we make sure everything's legit when we finally do release that list. But it's crowdsourced. And so it's always surprising to see how many people come together who don't even know each other, but actually elevate a particular road in their community to get attention.
That I would think that crowdsourcing thing would give Winnipeg, where the population's so high, and its roads kind of an advantage. Do you ever have like rural roads that really come in strong?
Well, there's 2 points actually. At CAA, we release the top 10 for the entire province, but we also release a top 5 in various regions throughout Manitoba to make sure that, communities with smaller populations do also get a voice. But I'll tell you, trending over the last few years, we did see a lot more rural roads end up on the top 10. And so, communities coming together to create attention, especially when there's multiple jurisdictions, right? A perimeter road or a provincial road versus, a big road or a road in a big city. And so this year, remains to be seen. We're so far, I can share a little bit. We're seeing a mix of both Winnipeg roads, of course, but also some rural roads.
How do we know that this survey actually makes a real world difference?
Well, that's the benefit of it. And CAA does an advocacy, not just in providing this campaign, but then we also follow up with government. We track those roads. And so we know after last year's campaign, Goulet was slated to have construction started on it. And we see that time and time again, even in sometimes our casual conversations with the mayor of Winnipeg, who was a counselor. He said he used to take a look at this list and get the roads in his community prioritized based on the top 10 list. And so we know they're watching, they're paying attention, and where feasible, they're making some changes to the scheduling of which roads get fixed when, and in order to satisfy the communities that are speaking up.
So is this the squeaky wheel getting the grease?
Well, it does create a tension. And sometimes when municipalities or the province puts together a repair, it's based on very, stringent sort of engineering facts. But but sometimes you need that pulse on the ground to tell you actually this road is a bigger issue than maybe some engineering data or transportation data alludes to, and that the volumes of people or people speaking up loud are saying actually this road is really causing a problem, and it's not just based on whether it's a few cracks in the pavement. It's based on lots of people taking that road and feeling like they need their voices heard.
So many people say it's frustrating to see roads deteriorate year after year. Governments say, it's a money problem. Roads and bridges are expensive to maintain. What are your thoughts on that?
Transportation infrastructure is significantly expensive to maintain and fix. It's also why we also look at provincial and municipal budgets around and provincial and federal budgets actually to see that they're providing municipalities with sources of revenue. But sometimes municipalities, like we see in Winnipeg, raise their revenue, so raise their taxes. And I think this year what we heard is we're raising your taxes, but we're taking a good chunk of that in order to fix the roads and deal with the infrastructure problems that we have. And so we don't always like those tax increases, but at the same time, if we're seeing that those dollars are being put to work, that's definitely something that we want municipalities in the province to do. And also, recognizing that if they do the repairs as they come up, it's a lot less expensive than having to the road just really deteriorate to a point where you've got to scrape the whole thing apart and add fresh layers of, layer upon layer to make that road nice and fresh and new again.
Oh, so you think that if they took action and went out and filled those cracks as soon as they started, as opposed to waiting for them to be big, that would make a difference?
It definitely helps prolong the work. I mean, the reality is we live in Canada, and we have harsh climates, and that there's a lot of factors into what and how fast a road deteriorates. But a recent survey that I talked about, one of the biggest pain points in with our members in Manitoba is that the roads don't last long enough. So part of that is maintaining those potholes so that the potholes all don't connect, or the cracks in the road all of a sudden don't make what we call sort of like alligator like driving on roads. And so those maintenance things of keeping up on pothole fixes, cracks and things will help provide some longevity and create less wear and tear, and before you have to do those big fixes.
Teresa DeFelice, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. And remember to vote. You have until midnight tonight.
Thanks for the reminder. Teresa DeFelice is Assistant Vice President, Government and Community Relations for CAA Manitoba. To nominate a road in your community as one of Manitoba's very worst, go to caaworstroads.com. You can do so until midnight tonight.